Hey guys, I am here with Miss Reda Hicks from GotSpot. How are you today, Reda?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Jesse.
Of course, of course. And so, first question I must ask everyone. Are you originally from Houston?
I'm not. I'm actually from Odessa, Texas, but I've been in Houston since 2005.
Awesome. And everybody knows where Odessa is because oil and gas, right? That's where everyone gets
It's either oil and gas or the Friday Night Lights. One way or another.
And you played for the Friday Night Lights, right? You were on the field.
I feel like I have the body perfect for football.
I love it. I love it. So what is the GotSpot? What is it?
GotSpot is short-term space for your business.
Okay.
Where I like to say we are the marketplace where Main Street is a resource for entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs are a revenue source for Main Street. So if you think like Airbnb, but for all kinds of business spaces, that one business owner might have space where they don't use it all the time, and another business owner might only need space sometimes, and maybe that's all they can afford right now. And I'm trying to facilitate the resource and the need, finding one another.
That's brilliant. That's one thing you really never think about, because I know in my kind of environment, I'm always looking for places. So I mean, that's something that no one really thinks about. So that's awesome. What made you kind of come up with that idea?
Honestly, I kind of feel like I was nudged from a number of different directions.
Yeah.
All the work that I do in Houston, and I do a lot of civil work with military families because we're a veteran family. Awesome. It all comes down to connection. I love connecting people to each other and people to the right resources. And what I know about my fellow military spouses is that a bunch of them are entrepreneurs. Just think about if your spouse moves every 2 years and you have no control over it, what your resume might look like.
Yeah.
So a traditional professional track is not going to work, but they've become just magic at figuring out how to keep their hustle going from place to place. But the problem is when you're really good at what you do, you start getting calls for things too big for your house.
Yeah.
Your garage won't cut it, your kitchen won't cut it, your living room won't cut it. And right now the best way to find space is Google, which is not a great tool for anyone in a pinch, right?
Yeah.
So I know this, and I had been thinking a long time around what does it look like to solve that problem. But I knew it would be tech, and I was afraid of the tech. I'm a lawyer, not the most high-tech of professions.
I was going to say, we won't hold that against you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. My husband often does. I knew that it was a problem to solve. I didn't think I was the right person to solve it. Mm-hmm. But in my practice, I actually am in-house at a large logistics company.
Okay. And
so when Harvey hit, my phone started ringing a lot. And it was people from the city and county and nonprofits, and they were suffering from the very same I need space now problem that my friends suffer all the time, but just in a very different context. So that's when I'm like, okay, I know my friends have a problem that needs solving. I know my community has a problem that needs solving. The same piece of tech can solve both of those problems, and I really got to just figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's where GotSpot came from. Is it's an everyday digital marketplace for entrepreneurs and Main Street businesses, but it's also a tool for communities to be able to know right away when disaster strikes or an emergency or whatever it might be, who in the neighborhood has already said, you can use my space.
Yeah.
And here it is, and here are all the specs, and you can just call me the next time there's a Harvey, or West Texas it's tornadoes, and California it's earthquakes. Wherever you are, there's something where you have to figure out how to take care of people quickly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how many spots do you have? Do you know off the top of your head? Or,
I have 40 spots right now.
Wow.
We launched in September.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm also super thrilled that a large number of those spots, they're all community-minded. Most business owners in Houston, in my experience, are. So many of the spots offer discounts to nonprofits, for instance. Okay. And so I collect that data on the back end. And a number of them have also said, yeah, please add me to your emergency response list. It's not perfect for everyone. I have, on my website, I have a beautiful gallery in the Heights. That's not where you're going to put displaced people after a hurricane. Yeah. But then I have an amazing gym in the energy corridor. They have industrial grade washers and dryers, and they said, of course, please put us on your list because we want to help. If something happens, we want to help. So that's what I love is, I'm making a marketplace for myself. It is a for-profit, but it's also a tool, right, to be used in a way that's going to help my community too.
Yeah. And how can you see what you have available? I mean, do you have a website or okay?
You can go to GotSpotInc.com
Okay.
and you can search by a number of different categories and keywords. If you're an entrepreneur or a nonprofit looking for space, over half of the registered nonprofits in Texas no longer keep their own office.
Wow.
So if that's you and you need a place to develop your board or have a fundraiser, you can go on GotSpot and you can search which spots give discounts to nonprofits. You can choose the one that you think is right for you. And then if you are that community leader that's looking for a space for some kind of urgent need, you can search for that also.
That's awesome. So, what I've kind of realized talking to people is it's tough to kind of start your own company.
Yeah.
Not even for just a woman, but for a man, a dog, whatever you are. It's tough. That's huge. There's a lot of unknowns. So did you find any pitfalls or any roadblocks doing this? I mean, again, not just being a woman, but just starting this.
I find new pitfalls and roadblocks every day. I think that's the common path of entrepreneur. Everyone is really just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Even someone, I'm blessed to have gotten a JD and an MBA. So from an educational perspective, I kind of knew where to start. I knew where to look for the information that would help me as a business owner. But even with that backdrop, you're learning something new every day.
Yeah.
Every day I'm learning all of the things that are not in my professional wheelhouse, and I have to either educate myself on it or find someone who can advise me or find an employee I can hire, just to be able to keep going. I think it's a constant, quick study project.
I love that you said that. Like, it's just, you know that you don't have all the answers, and the whole thing is the employee that you can hire.
Right.
That's a big deal. Is the answers sometimes are below you, kind of thing. You can get the answers from anywhere. So I do ask the same question on every single interview.
Okay.
So do you have any expertise or maybe something that you wish you would have known for, say, a young woman that's wanting to possibly become an entrepreneur? Do you have anything that you can kind of tell them?
A few things. One, which is not specific to entrepreneurs but certainly helpful to entrepreneurs, is just put yourself out there. Awesome. We are in a city that is extremely connected, extremely open, and extremely generous. And just being willing to say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or I need help with that, you find people who are willing to help. It's all reciprocal, right? I have to put myself out there and people, reciprocate, and that's the way it works, building professional relationships. But, when I started GotSpot, I thought in my head, okay, who are all the people that can help me with the pieces? And I called every single one of them, and nobody told me no.
That's awesome.
But that has been my experience in anything that I have really worked on in Houston, is people want to say yes. Even the people who say no tend to say, but you should talk to so-and-so. So I think put yourself out there is the single best piece of advice I could give anyone in the professional space in Houston. And the second one is, there's so much out there. I say look before you leap. Right?
Okay.
Whether it's starting a business or a nonprofit or any other kind of enterprise, if you do a little bit of research, you can figure out whether you've actually identified a hole or whether you have the same passion point as these other people who have already started working on something, and maybe there's a partnership opportunity there, or maybe there's an opportunity to volunteer there or assist or provide your own skill set to a solution already in the works. Right?
Yeah.
And that's so much more efficient than finding out 2 or 3 months down the road or a year down the road that you've spun your wheels on something where people already have traction and you could have been helping there instead.
Agreed. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Well put. And when you were kind of starting this, and even you being an attorney, have you had a role model or someone there for you or anything? I mean, or have you kind of found the pitfalls and things yourself and kind of, brought yourself up?
In the entrepreneurship space, I have a whole host of peer mentors.
Awesome.
Particularly the women in this city are just so well connected. They know each other. They enjoy working together. it's probably one of the richest referral networks I've ever been a part of.
That's
Because
awesome.
we all really want women to succeed.
Yeah.
And I could start naming names and it would be a list too long for this segment, Jesse.
That's awesome.
But, you know, it's really important though to have that tribe. And I think, you know, I think one of the other people that you're featuring is Denise Hamilton, and she is one of my people. And her perspective on this is so rich, which is that it's not ever really just one mentor. It's a whole collection of people, each of whom have something to teach you.
Agreed.
And whether you're extremely close or you don't know each other that well at all, you can learn something from each other, and most people are willing to give you that little bit of their time to help you on your way.
Yeah, now that's well put. That's awesome. And it seems like that sorority of women here in Houston is just something so special. Mm-hmm. And the more and more I talk to people, the more and more I realize how amazing it is. It's so cool. It's so cool. But you know, thank you so much, Rita, for coming and talking to me.
Sure.
And more importantly, Happy Women's Month, National Women's Month.
Thank you.
But and if you do want to talk to Miss Rita or get any more information, all of her stuff and all of her contact info will be below this video. But again, thank you.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to have you. And thank you again, guys. Y'all take care.